Hey everyone, Ittarra here, bringing you the next Warframe 101 video. When we last left off, we were discussing the best endgame, beginner game, and weapons, and so on and so forth. In this game, we're going to go over the actual damages that are in Warframe itself. Now, just in case you guys have been wondering where I have been, and so on and so forth, and the fact that there's been commentary here, things have just been so freaking chaotic that it's just been ridiculous. And I've been wanting to get this video out for about a week now, but just so many things have been going wrong. It's just been one of those cluster types of things, and I apologize for it. I really do. But in this video, we're going to actually discuss damages. Now, just in case this video runs a little bit longer than it needs to, I'm going to actually split. I might split this. I might not. I will discuss the base damages and base elements, and then I'm going to discuss the actual what happens when you combine both of them. Now, what the little interesting note I want to put here is I will actually tell you which damages are best against which types of enemies, so that way you don't have to actually guess or scan to double check and make sure. Now, I'm going to start off. I'm going to run back here real quick, and I'm going to go in a certain order. I'm going to go in slash, impact, and puncture. Now, knowing my luck, I'm probably going to go slash, puncture, and impact. But, just so you know. Now, we're going to start off with slash damage. Slash damage in of itself causes a bleed DOT. Now, the interesting thing about DOT... Oh, my scans are broken! Stupid glitch! Alright, we'll just wait for that to fix. Now, the thing about the slash damage in of itself is the fact that slash damage can actually stack. With these other elements, they don't necessarily stack too well, except for one in particular. But with slash damage, it can actually scale and grow the more times it's procced. I don't know if you guys have actually had this happen or even cared to notice, but what ends up happening is that the slash damage can actually grow the more times it's procced. It's one of the very few elements and one of the very few damages that can actually stack per usage. So if you have something that is, let's just use the Dread, very high slash damage. If you have a 100% status chance on the Dread and it's just base slash damage and no other elements, you'll end up actually getting a slash DOT that will scale per damage for the slash. I believe it's about 15% or so of the damage max that will actually end up happening for the slash proc. And it continuously stacks. Now, slash is great against anything that has to deal with flesh or anything that's loosely put, like infested here. God, I blanked hard on that. Infested, as well as Grenier, even Corpus are susceptible to slash because they have flesh. But the problem with Corpus is you have to get through their shields first. We'll go over that in a second. Alright, up next we're going to go with impact damage. Now, what happens with impact damage is great against machinery, such as ospreys, as well as chickens, and as well as rollers, but I don't count rollers really much of a threat or an enemy because you can pretty much one-shot them. So this is just generally against Corpus for whatever reason. Corpus will lose a great deal, will get an insane damage boost against them if you have an impact rifle, even against the actual roller skaters. So, as you can see, impact damage gets an extra 50%. Now, impact damage causes a stagger effect. Now, if you use something like, let's say, the Rubico or the Jika Tag, and you smack somebody and you see them kind of just stagger a little bit, that's the power of impact damage. It staggers them for about 2 to 3, maybe 5 seconds. But they recover really quickly, and the only thing that actually happens is that. So it's not the greatest, but it does help get through Corpus pretty well. So that's the important thing. Alright, up next is the last base element, is puncture. Puncture can be found majority on daggers, bows, and so on and so forth. Now, puncture is amazing against anything that has to deal with armor, or even the shield lancers here. Puncture goes through armor. It ignores it pretty much completely. So if you have anything that has a high puncture proc, or puncture damage in general, it'll go right through the armor and actually damage them as if they didn't have it. Excuse me, sorry, I have the hiccups a little bit. That's the reason why the MK1 Paris, the MK1 Paris and the Paris bow in general are amazing against Grenier, as well as amazing against, I would want to say against Ancients, but that's Slash and something else we'll go over later. There's gotta be more. Really, it is just Grenier. Oh, and Puncture gives a damage debuff against against anything. So it ignores armor and gives you a damage debuff. So if you're using someone like Valkyr and you're getting punctured left and right, you're probably going to be doing less and less damage. It's actually based on I think it's a negative 25%. Oh no, it's just negative damage. Okay. I have a little notepad written down here just for my notes and stuff like that. Alright. So that'll do it for actually the base damages. What we're going to go over through here now is I'm going to show you the base elements here. Now the base elements are fire, ice or cold, electricity, and toxin. Now what we're going to do here is, because Blaze is already here, because I've had to restart this freaking recording 4 or 5 different times because of people. So what's going to end up happening here is fire, I'm going to just go based on what is next in line after fire. Now, fire damage in of itself is fire. It actually does a DOT and causes panic. When a panic status is, you'll actually see them starting to try to put themselves out. The thing about heat damage in general is it actually is a very decent DOT or a CC if you're looking just to actually get rid of a very bulky enemy, heavy gunner, infested ancient, bombards, and so on and so forth. Heat will do you well. Now, what heat is great against is it's great against every infested. Every single one of them. It will actually cause them massive amounts of damage. Even if it doesn't say inside of here, where it gives you the actual elements and stuff like that, heat still works against the ancients. Very well, I might add, because goddamn. So if you ever need to go against anything in that sort, bring heat with you and you will just pretty much decimate every infested. That's why Ember is pretty much the infested killer. Now, what we're going to do here is I'm going to run back over here and I'm going to equip electricity. Now, electricity in of itself is probably, I would want to say, the best element. The best base element, anyway. The reason for this is because electricity actually arcs. It does what it's supposed to. It gives a hard CC and controls about 3 or 4 seconds. It might not seem like a long time, but trust me, it is for when you want to get away and everything else. Now, the main thing about electricity is amazing against Corpus, because just like every other game that has to do with shields or anything of that nature, it's electricity that short circuits them. Pretty basic physics right there. Now, if you have something that's impact with electricity, you're pretty much golden. Or impact and cold. We'll go over cold in just a second. What ends up happening here is, if you're going against Corpus or anything of that nature, you want to bring an electricity weapon with impact, or one or the other. Either way, you're fine. But, what is it? If you bring a puncture bow, like the Paris or something like that, you're probably going to have a hard time against Corpus. But for electricity in general, these are who you face. These are what you bring electricity for, because it goes right through their shields and it short circuits them as a whole. So, bing, bang, boom, you're done with Corpus. Now, on to cold damage. Now, cold damage in of itself is a all-around, I would want to say. It's one of those elements that's all-around, it's good. You don't have to really worry too much about it. But I find that cold is best against, arid lancers or arid Grenier. Now, there is a very huge difference between the normal Grenier you fight and the arid Grenier that you fight. Arid Grenier in general are a lot stronger. They're a lot bulkier. They have more abilities. They have better armor, better weaponry, better everything, pretty much. So, cold ends up at what it actually does is it slows them down. It slows them down movement, reload, and fire rate. Don't ask me why. And if you ask me why, I'm probably going to say, I told you not to ask me why. But cold, believe it or not, actually goes against Corpus. Now, this was actually something that was really shocking to me. Apparently, Shields are weak against impact and cold damage. I never knew that until just now. So hey, we both learned something. Thumbs up there. Now, what ends up happening is the cold is just great because it just provides a hard slowdown. We all know how valuable slowing is when we play, like, let's say Final Fantasy or something like that. It's why Frost is actually a really good frame in general because of his Ice Wave. Put power range on that with power duration or status duration, I'm pretty sure one or the other works. When you slam down, everything gets slowed and it lasts for quite a while. So, there you go. Now, this personally right here is my favorite element. The last one. The last base element. Toxin damage. I feel it is extremely underlooked. And the reason for this is because Toxin doesn't abide by the rules that anything else did. Generally, it's like, oh, it's a CC. Oh, it's a DOT. Toxin damage works a little bit differently. Toxin bypasses shields. Let me let that sink in for a second. So that means that, man, Corpus are getting fucked. But then again, they are heavy support, so you know what, screw them. Go for the support! Screw the ADC! But what ends up happening is, the reason why Toxin damage is one of the hidden gems, I feel, is because Toxin damage is great against any type of flesh. So if you're going against a Grineer or anything of that nature, Toxin damage will actually serve you well. But it's best against Corpus because they have regular human flesh. It's not clone flesh. What ends up happening is when this element procs, it actually bypasses all shields, and that damage gets directed directly to them. So if you have a 100% Vacor Merilock with a 100% status chance, and it's just base Toxin damage, one shot, all the damage will go through. So if you're in a high level area with Corpus, if it's, let's just say, we'll just say the sortie, 50s to 100s when you're scaling up, you will actually end up one-shotting majority of Corpus because the Toxin proc will happen and their health is already so low. Like, let's take a look here at the crewman. 60% HP, but over double, nearly triple for shields. So that gives you an idea of what it is that you're dealing with. You take out the shields, or you bypass the shields, they're screwed. Where's the nullifier? Let me see if I can find the nullifier here. I'm pretty sure I have him... elite crewman, nullifier. Here we go, nullifier crewman. Like, he has this big, just gigantic freaking bubble here. He really does. But his health is so low. No matter how high he gets, he's always going to be one-shot. And that's the thing. If you're going against anything of that sort that has flesh that is pretty much human, then you want to bring Toxin with you. But if you're going against something like Jackal here, you don't want to bring Toxin, because Toxin doesn't really hurt him that much. It hurts his shield, but it doesn't hurt much else. Alright, that'll do it for the actual basic, that'll actually do it for the basic elements. And now, because I want to actually give you guys some time to process and everything else, I'm actually going to cut the video here, just so that way that there's a checkpoint and everything else. If I feel that the video is too short, or if it's just right enough, I will actually add on the second part, but if not, I'm actually just going to make a part 2, and I'll release them in tandem, literally back to back, or the next day, just in case YouTube has any funkiness going on. So when we come back, we're going to end up discussing the actual combination elements, like viral, radiation. Hang on, where's my heat? Where's my heat? That's not my heat. Heat. There you are. Heat. Gas and magnetic. Okay, you know what? Close enough. It's 2 different elements. We're going to go over those. So, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this. If this helped you out, I'm glad, and I am happy to help you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. And as always, this is Ittarra signing off. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care, everyone, and be safe.